And to speak more on the issues bothering around flooding is Dr. Tokpe Olatunde Ayedun, environment expert and lecturer at Confluence University of Science and Technology in Kogi State, Nigeria. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
All right, the pleasure is all mine. I kick off by asking you, what are the key drivers behind the recent rise in the frequency and, of course, intensity of floods in northern region of Nigeria?
Yes, thank you. And thank you all for the privilege to speak again in your great TV. I'd like to say that one of the major reasons for flood is climate change. The climate change is upon us, which is the alteration of global atmospheric weather condition of a place, and it has been exacerbated by human activities. The activities such as deforestation, bush burning has exacerbated the climate change, which results in changing our weather pattern. Our rainfall pattern has changed, and that's why we are having more heavy rainfall, unlike in the 19th centuries or the 20th century. Now it is more heavier than all those times, and it's as a result of climate change that is upon us.
Well, I know you talked about climate change, but then do we have flood warning systems in place? And if yes, how well have they served in alerting us in these areas affected?
Yes, we actually have flood warning system in place, like the hydrological agency. I know we have them in place that actually, but they are not serving as the hot tool. Most of the time the time frame that they give is limited compared to if it is a bit longer but they are actually trying, but it's not adequate enough. But we need to improve. There is room for improvement. Thereby, people need to be aware often that while building on pathways where rivers are supposed to be, it's actually going to come back to them, whereby affecting their lives. Most of the houses built or most of the drainages even constructed is either the houses built are in the riverine areas, whereby they are flood-prone areas, or even the drainages that we are constructing are a bit too narrow. All these are extreme reasons why it's looking as if the agencies who are in charge of creating awareness are not doing enough. But I think they can do much more.
Okay, let me follow up on something you touched on, which is quite interesting. You talked about, disruption in floodplains, people building on flood, paths, as well as drainages being too narrow. What would you prefer as solutions to mitigate these challenges?
I think one of the major ways to mitigate these challenges is for our government to be more proactive. We need government to be more proactive in the sense that it is not an individual thing alone. Though the individual has a way of doing their own thing, maybe gathering the communities and neighbors together to clear the drainages and all that, but the government needs to finance the environment. I realize that when it comes to health, when it comes to outbreak like cholera and other viruses, the governments are more proactive. But when it comes to the environment, because I don't know for certain reasons, the governments are not as proactive as they should. So I feel that there should be climate finance in this sector, in the environment sector, whereby there will be more money that will be used for preparedness. For flood preparedness is very essential, and it requires money. Money must be put in place in order for all these things to go as usual. For instance, if you are talking about having a broader drainage, you don't expect just the community dwellers or an individual person to do that. The government has to be the one to help us to do that, broaden our drainages so that it can be sustainable for other future use. Because now we are talking of a population of over 200 million, and we have a drainage as narrow as very slim. whereby the flood that we are talking about is massive flood. So we should look at the rate of the disaster, as well as when we are trying to plan towards a dynamic rate, that you are trying to solve a problem, a big problem, and not solving a child's play problem. So that's why I feel that all those things must be put in place, especially, and again, I feel urban planning too need to sit up. There should be no corruption in urban planning. I may be wrong, but I feel that they are not working as they should. Whereby there are flood-prone areas, there are already ways in which we experts we know the flood-prone areas, which are the high terrain and the lower terrain. And
And
if
that's a fine place to wrap up. Apologies for
an
butting in.
urban
We're
planner
pressed for
who are
time. I wish we had more time. Thank you so much for your insight.
okay.
Dr. Tokpe Olatunde Ayedun, environment expert and lecturer. Many thanks indeed.